In this video, I've put some practice questions on electronics information for you to prepare for the ASVAB test. Inductance is measured in ohms, francs, henries, or joules. The answer here is henries. The henry is the name of the unit used to measure inductance. A semiconductor describes elements that have blank electrons in their valence shell. So elements that have 4 electrons in their valence shell are called semiconductors. So the answer here is 4 electrons. Which of these elements is considered a semiconductor? Sulfur, silicon, argon, or magnesium? The answer here is silicon. Silicon is one of the most abundant elements on Earth and is used as the primary source for silicon wafers used to make computer electronics. The electron shell closest to the nucleus of an atom can hold blank electrons. So the answer here is 2 electrons. The first shell can hold up to 2 electrons, the second 8, the third 18, the fourth 32, the fifth and higher can hold up to 50 or more theoretically. So if this is our nucleus, and then this is 1 electron shell, so this first shell can hold up to only 2 electrons, then the second one can hold up to 8. Okay. And then the next one is 32 and so on. Transistors are known as being solid state. This means transistors never change state one set. Transistors carry no state information between charges. Transistors are very reliable and are generally solid. Or transistors have no moving parts and all of their electricity exists in their material. The answer here is this one. Transistors have no moving parts and all of their electricity exist in their material. Unlike vacuum tubes, relay switches, hard drives, and so on that have moving parts, transistors have no moving parts and store their electrical charge in a solid material, usually silicon. The 2 types of transistors are PNP and NPN, PPP and NNM, CBC and PRN, ABC and BCA. The answer here is PNP and NPN. An NPN transistor consists of 1 piece of N-type, then 1 piece of P-type material, and then 1 N-type piece of material. A PNP is just the opposite. The primary components in a bipolar junction transistor are the collector, the base, and the blank, emulsifier, charger, emitter, or dispenser. So the answer is emitter. The emitter acts as the outlet for the electrical charge stored in the collector of the transistor. When an electric current passes through a wire, a blank field is generated around the wire. Positive, magnetic charge, or negative? The answer here is magnetic field. A magnetic field is the area around the wire in which magnetic forces act as electricity travels through it. Winding wire into a coil will have what effect on the magnetic field? So bringing the wire closer together increases the strength of the magnetic field, an electromagnetic coil brings the wires very close together in a loop around a core. So the answer here, it will make it stronger. So winding wire into a coil will make the magnetic field stronger. Components of an electric circuit that resist a change in the flow of current are known as inductors, self-inducing agents, sulfurs, or inducers. The answer here is inductors. An inductor is an electrical component that opposes the change in the electrical current flow. When the voltage increases, the inductor moves against the current, decreasing it. When the current flow decreases, the inductor makes the current keep flowing. 1.5 volts sent through a 20 kilo ohms resistor would result in blank of current. So how are we going to solve this? We can use Ohm's law. So Ohm's law states that voltage is equal to current times the resistance. So we're given the volts and then the resistance. So we just have to solve for the current. So by deriving the equation or the formula, current is just equal to voltage over resistance. So we're given here 20 kilo ohms, and 20 kilo ohms is just equivalent to 20,000 ohms. Now to solve for the current, we just plug in all the values given. So we have current equals 1.5 volts divided by 20,000 ohms. So this would give us an answer of 7.5 times 10 to the negative 5 amperes, or this is just equivalent to 0.000075 amperes. But in the choices, we only have milliamperes, so we need to convert amperes to milliamperes. So 1 ampere is just equal to 1000 milliamperes. We convert 0.000075 amperes to milliamperes. So that is, we multiply this by 1000 milliamperes per 1 ampere, and the ampere unit cancels out. So 0.0075 times 1000, this would give us 0.075 milliamperes. So the answer is this one, 0.075 milliamperes. How many megavolts does it take to send 99 amps of current through 99,000 ohms of resistance? Now, to calculate how many megavolts are required to send 99 amps of current through 99,000 ohms of resistance, we can use Ohm's law. Voltage equals current times resistance. We know that voltage is measured in volts, I current in amperes, and R resistance in ohms. And we're given here current, which is equivalent to 99 amperes. And then resistance is 99,000 ohms. Okay, calculating the voltage in volts, we just plug in all the given values. There will be 99 amperes times 99,000 ohms. So the voltage would be equivalent to 9,801,000 volts. And we are asked for megavolts. So 1 megavolt is equivalent to 1 million volts. We just have to convert 9,801,000 volts to megavolts. That would be 9,801,000 volts times 1 megavolt divided by 1 million volts. So the voltage, the volts unit cancel out, and we are left with megavolts. We divide 9,801,000 by 1 million, and this would give us an answer that is equivalent to 9.801 megavolts. So the answer here is this one, 9.801 megavolts. The largest subatomic particle with a positive charge is called the positron, electron, neutron, or proton. The answer here is proton. Actually, the proton and positron are both positively charged subatomic particles, but the proton is larger in size. The nucleus of an atom contains what two subatomic particles? An atom's nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons, and the electrons are not found within the nucleus. So the answer here is this one, protons and neutrons. Carbon has 6 protons and 6 neutrons in its nucleus. How many electrons does it have? So elements will typically carry an equal number of electrons and protons. Therefore, it also has 6 electrons. Blank is the name given to the orbit of an electron resides in around an atom. Electrons occupy an orbit around an atom called an electron shell, also known as its principal energy level. So the answer here is electron shell or shell. The outermost shell of an atom is known as the blank, suborbital shell, core shell, final shell, valence shell. So the outer electron shell in an atom is called its valence shell. Given Ohm's law, if voltage increases, the current remains the same, then blank. So this is Ohm's law, voltage equals current times resistance. The resistance also increases. So when voltage increases and current remains the same, the resistance would also increase. In this diagram, how much current is flowing through the circuit? Okay, so to solve this, we will use Ohm's law. Voltage equals current times resistance, since we are given here voltage in 12.5 volts and resistance, which is 20 kilo ohms. So let's convert 20 kilo ohms to ohms first. So 1 kilo ohm is 1000 ohms. Therefore, 20 kilo ohms is just equivalent to 20,000 ohms. Then we can plug in the values to the formula current. So current, you have to derive this first. Current is equal to voltage over resistance. So that would be 12.5 volts divided by 20,000 ohms. So this would give us an answer that is equivalent to 6.25 times 10 to the negative 4 amperes, or 0.000625 amperes. But in the choices here, we don't have 0.00625 amperes, but we have milliamperes. So let's convert amperes to milliamperes. So we just have to multiply this by 1000 milliamperes per 1 ampere. So the current would be equal to 0.625 milliamperes. The answer is 0.625 milliamperes.